Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to the worst reviews ever. Today we got the Manic Genius, Casey, Fred, and Amazing in the building. So before we start, how's everybody doing?
Good.
And shout
Doing
out to the
swell.
Keys, Fred. I saw they got that victory. That's probably why Wally's late. You know, he made that prediction that they was gonna lose, so he was probably like, "Shit, let me slide in late, man. I want to hear Frederick's mouth and shit." He pulled out the rings
Come in
last
the
night.
last 5 minutes, but I still be waiting for him.
Okay. You gonna bring that smoke later? But all right, let me go ahead and pull these slides up and stuff. So give me 1 second and I'll go ahead and read it. So The Deliverance today is the movie we're going to review. So The Deliverance is a 2024 American supernatural horror film directed by Lee Daniels and written by David Cogswell and Elijah Bynum. This movie is inspired by is it Amon's Hunting case? Sorry, confirmation from y'all. Silence.
And I think it's Ammon's.
What was that?
I think it's Latoya Ammon's family.
Ammons. Okay, there we go. So, all right. The plot on this movie is an Indiana family discovers strange demonic occurrences that convince them and their community that the house is a portal to hell. And this is like loosely based on a real movie, right?
Based on
life story.
real events.
Damn. Okay. Shit. Really, Vince? I thought it was just like a occurrence. You know how they be like trying to attach it to. All right. So the directors and producers for this movie, again, directed by Lee Daniels, written by David Cogswell, Elijah Bynum, produced by Lee Daniels, Todd Kritz, Jackson DeYugan, and Tucker Tooley and Pamela Williams.
So Jackson, so that name,
Oh, go ahead.
you know that Nguyen. You know how you say that name is Win.
It's Win?
Win, like WIN. That's how you say that name.
Yeah, I was totally off. Appreciate you, man.
But no, it's I have a friend.
Nah, because I knew somebody had that name. That's how I was about to ask you, but I was like, I wasn't sure.
It's just Win, which is like there's no W in there. There's no. It's like Win.
No, that's crazy. Appreciate you though. All right, the cast on this: Andra Day as Ebony Jackson, Glenn Close as Alberta Jackson, aka the hood rat white mom in this movie. Anthony B. Jenkins is Andre Jackson, Caleb McCollin as Nathaniel Nate Jackson, Demi Singleton as Shantae Jackson, Anjay Ellis-Taylor as Reverend Bernice James, Monique as Cynthia Henry, and Omar Epps as Melvin. And the rating scale. So, all right, we're going to go around, give our ratings, and we'll go ahead and answer the questions. So you'll give your rating and you'll go into the questions. So first off on this one, we're going to Amazing.
You keep picking me first.
Ladies first.
So all right, give your rating and I'll pull over the questions.
I'm going with a 6.
All right, so you went with average and good. So go ahead and give us your rating.
Rating first?
No. We going down the line.
Okay, so let's see. Would I recommend this movie? Yes, I would. What did you think about the plot and or storyline? This movie, I tell you, is like comedic genius. I felt like it was like horror, but like the most funniest horror / real life scenario ever. Like there was
your rating doesn't reflect all this, but continue.
Only because I'm also comparing to movies like this. So I like movies based on like real life events, particular that have to do with like hauntings and you know this. Like I've watched all the Poltergeist movies. I like haunting movies. I like all of that stuff. The only reason this one got like a higher score literally was because I also found it so amusing. I thought it had like the best one-liners ever, where I feel like if I get stuck in like a rough neighborhood, I have some liners to pull out to just make me be a little tougher. Like I'm gonna be able to scare people just with like one-liners from Ebony and her mother. Like this, like the things they said to each other, I was like, oh my goodness. Their performances stuck out to me again. Like I was trying to think of some of the scenes. So some of the scenes it was like so generational / toxic trauma. Like the part, so one of the scenes, also one-liners that I found just hilarious, when Nate was getting beat up by the corner boy, or he was like picking on him, and then Ebony finds out, goes down, beats him up, and then comes back to the house, and the mom is like, Alberta says something like, you were wrong for that, you shouldn't have done it, or whatever. And she was like, I slapped the teeth out B's mouth for less, or something, and this is her mother. And then the mother turns around and is like, B, do it then. Like, it was hilarious to me, some of the stuff that they said to each other. Let's see what else. Oh, when the demon took the form of Alberta, and like the stuff that was coming out of her mouth at that point, it was like, I don't even know how to describe it, but also I just found hilarious. Let's see. I did find one of the parts I liked is when Ebony ends up finding out, or Alberta finds out, that Ebony, of all of this toxicity that they have, again, which it was like, it was funny to me, but when Alberta finds out that Ebony's actually been paying for her cancer treatment, I thought that was a great little plot twist there, just because it showed that she really did love her. She was still like paying for all this treatment. So I think that kind of all came full circle. If I was the director or producer of this movie, what would I change? Although I found a lot of the one-liners very comedic, I thought it was over the top a lot, so I probably would have calmed some of that down. But again, I do like movies like this, so that's probably all I would have done, is maybe calm it down a little bit. But I also found it hilarious at the same time.
All right, appreciate that. You were sounding like a whole Karen up there in the beginning. Talk about when I go to a rough neighborhood. I got some quotes. Shout out to you, though. Shout out to you for being a little punk. But all right, Manic Genius. What's your rating?
So this one's going to be a solid 10 for me.
Damn, classic. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Let me pull up the questions.
Yeah.
Run it down. You gave it a 10, and why did you give it that rating?
I didn't read any of the reviews on the movie. I didn't watch any trailers, so I had no idea what I was watching. And from the start of the movie, I was like, okay, this is a movie, single black mom, 3 kids, alcoholic problem. She's struggling, but she's trying to pull everything together, and things just constantly are unfolding and like challenging her. So I just thought I was watching, typical struggle movie, and then she's gonna get right, and everybody's gonna high five at the end, like, girl, you did it. Like, so that's what I thought I was watching. What I actually was watching, and I gotta add this piece in there. I'm on a personal journey to be more spiritual, and so when it comes to anything that's mentioning of God and even religion, it touches me a different way. And what this movie ultimately turned out to in the end, it just hit me at the core, just because it started off as like a relatable movie, and then it became super relatable towards the end, because my faith, and I understand that God is always superior to the devil, and this movie was a clear showcase of that. So it just
Real quick,
reinforced.
Before you was about to go down that lane, I had a real joke for you, but since you introduced God, I'm gonna fall back. I was about to say, what's your journey? Malt liquor? Continue on. You were doing excellent. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, so I thought, once the whole movie, the plot was great, because it showed real life stuff, and it wasn't just this like, churchy movie. It had real life struggles, and just I thought the plot was really good, the overarching theme, and then the storyline leading up to it was just like, it was just surprising. It was just like I was in tune with every scene, because outside of, they could have made this movie as this happy family moving into their and then there's the struggle between God and the devil, and then it could have still been a really great movie, but like it was a whole nother movie in and of itself with just their own personal struggles. And then there was a whole nother movie with the dynamic with the mom and the kids. There was a whole nother movie with the dynamic between the mom and the daughter. It was a whole nother movie dealing with like your elders getting, cancer or dealing with health concerns and the real struggles of like paying those bills. So it had so many different elements towards it. So but the biggest element was the fight between God and the devil, and I absolutely loved that. The scenes and actors' performances, I felt like every scene was very like you had to pay attention to it because it was exciting. Like Amazing was mentioning, like the one-liners were snappy to the point, but I didn't feel like they were over the top because at the end of the day it is a movie. You can't showcase the entire relationship. You have 2 hours to make the audience understand the dynamic. And I think those one-liners and those mom and dad or the mother-daughter interactions were like spot on to get us to really understand their dynamic. It was definitely a love-hate relationship. I felt like the children acted all well, but that little boy, he absolutely killed it. His looks, like it wasn't over the top. When he spoke, it just felt so believable. And I'm super critical on child actors. Like this kid did his
damn.
Yeah, this kid did his thing. This is how child acting should be. If I were the director or producer of the movie, I think the only thing, because I felt like the movie was phenomenal, the only thing I would possibly change would be her job. Because, I found out, you find out later in the movie, she's a barber. And I'm just like, come on now. she's very attractive and she's surrounded by a whole bunch of dudes, so it's just like, I mean, that still allows her to drink and, wake up super late. Cause I mean, think barbers, they probably don't start until it's been so long since I've been in a barbershop, but I would assume barbershops don't even open till like 10 a.m.
Pretty late.
Yeah, they open late, so she can get drunk all night and then still roll out of bed. So I'm like, dang, where can you have kids and kind of party it up and get messed up and then still turn around and make it to work and be good enough? But yeah, as a barber, you can kind of do that. And then it kind of, she has to be hustling because those barbers they make decent money, but to take care of 3 kids and pay for medical bills. So I think I would have gave her a little bit of a more professional job to where they kind of know she's like a little bit of a fuck up, but they kind of give her the leeway because they see her like really trying when she's actually at work. So that would have been like the only thing I would have changed. I would have changed that, she would have had like a little bit more professional job because, she seemed like she was smart to some degree, but just made bad decisions. So I think a better job would have, kind of reinforced that, like, hey, she is a smart, capable woman that doesn't put up with shit, but she does know how to, like, keep everything in line and kind of manage everything. So
I like that.
That'd be the only thing change the job.
All right. We're going to go to Casey Fred. What's your rating for this movie?
Is it okay if I pass and go at the end?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I'll go ahead and go. So my rating for this movie, I'm going to have to give it an 8. So I got it in between very good and excellent. So going down to questions, the reason why I gave it that rating, because like everybody said, typically I don't like these movies because I think like movies about like when they get possessed and shit, they're scary as hell. Because so I was like, I typically don't like watching those, but I like how they introduced like the humor to kind of like water down that whole element. Because the whole truth about like demons and stuff. If you're a religious person, it's like I don't want to. Typically, don't watch these type of things. So I think I like the human element. I like what Manic said as far as like the sickness element. As far as like people getting sick and stuff. But I also like the dynamic with her and her kids, bad relationship and stuff, and her dealing with like her own problems and flaws, like with drinking. She was about to get bust down at the party and stuff. you know, the kids kind of seeing the parents spiraling out of control and stuff. And as far as the plot and storyline, I thought that was like excellent how they tied it. You know, it's based on a real story, but added like the whole additional elements on top of that. And I like the message in the movie where, you know, the parents, I'll say sins could impact your kids as I can't remember how the saying goes, but the sins of the father or something. Yeah. You know, so, but it's, you know, in this case, her mom had issues that passed on down to her. Then like since she had all those issues and stuff like that she didn't fully address, you know, it impacted her relationships. It impacted her relationship with her kids. So now her kids was kind of had to deal with it. Like even the son, you know, he's sitting there, he has to give the mom money to cover the gap. You know, he really wants to get away. So he's saving up that money and stuff. So he's impacted by it. The little boy at the end, you know, he's kind of the one that I'll say the demon latched onto. So it's just like, since she was like so messed up, it's like it exposed her family to these like different elements and stuff, like these demons and stuff. Which in real life is like, you know, might not be demons, but it's just like, you know, different influences that could attack you. So it's like if you don't got your stuff in order, like they say, lead by example. So I love that whole message on the movie. So that's why I definitely, you know, had to give it that rating, because the plot and the storyline and all the underlining messages that was in the movie and stuff like that. So the performances that stuck out, the one lady that, you know, had to face the demons, I definitely liked her character. I forgot her name exactly.
Ebony.
But Ebony, Andrea Day, and Glenn Close. We got to give her props, man. She played a hoodish mom. She pulled that out, man. Her range of like characters, man, like it's crazy, because typically she be playing like a queen. She pulled this off. Like, I don't know too many, like I say, actors and actresses that has that portfolio of range besides maybe like a Johnny Depp. Yeah, you know, of just like different characters and stuff. So when she did this role, man, I'm just like, she's up there. Like, she was already up there for me, but she's top 5, like men and women actresses. So nah, she's tight. She's solidified. So like, if I would have changed something in the movie, I would leave it as is, man. I like the way it played out. It definitely flowed together, had all the elements. The kid looked scary as hell, like Manic said. That little boy, man, that was a freaky look. When he climbed up that wall, I was like, oh, yeah.
Like, so what movie is this?
Yeah. Then in the basement, when she, like, you know, they contort the body and stuff, I'm like, God, man, this stuff is crazy. And the fact that she had to face herself, like her own demons, pretty much. I like that. So I wouldn't change anything to the movie.
One thing, just because you mentioned the scene about the little boy, I actually read when I was reading that so if you read details on the actual like events that they tried to base this off of, is they say that scene was actually like a witness report from the Department of Social Service worker who was investigating like abuse charges against the family. So I just thought that was interesting that claim actually came from somebody that said they witnessed it that was outside of the family.
Yeah, that was funny. Them nurses like, I ain't going back in that room. We good.
Like, they said they saw like him climb on a wall.
Saw not the wall. It's something about like bending backwards and crawling backwards or something. Not on the wall, but doing something like bizarre like that.
Oh,
so that was one thing I did find interesting about because I normally will read about like the true stories, like what happened, like, you know, what led to the movie. So I read on this one too, and most of the time you don't find like that people outside, you know, like we actually have DSS workers and stuff like that are saying, hey, we saw like this bizarre stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. But all right, we about to get the man, the myth, the legend. Casey, Fred, I'm putting you at the top. You cannot escape. Let's go. Did you watch this in English this time, though?
Yes, I watched this in English. Yes, English, all bars. The first thing I do want to say is no nachos. So
absolutely, I know you wasn't eating it. I was actually telling Amazing. I was like, I can't wait to hear his rating, because I know he hates this niche of movies, horror movies. I was like, the past couple weeks, I threw you. For you, I had the romantic comedies. I had some action. I was like, I got to give you a build up. So
Oh boy. Okay, so I asked actually, and I want to say thank you first of all for letting me do the end. So I'm gonna try to see if I can hit this the way it's supposed to be because I'm about to go deep.
Okay,
And
okay.
so I gave this a 7.
Oh, for a horror movie, this is just
Yeah.
let me recap a little bit.
Disclaimer.
Typically, any horror movie, it's already in 2 to 3 territory, which is terrible for Frederick. So for him to give this a 7, this is almost like Manic's territory, like a 10. Just look at it like as a 10 classic.
Yeah.
Continue on, Fred. Here's the questions.
So let me get some of these things out the way. Would I recommend this to anyone? Yes. Would I watch it again? This movie was that deep that I actually would watch this again.
Oh, are you killing me?
The storyline, the plot is what I'm getting ready to talk about, and then I want to talk about really not just kind of like the performances, but the scenes that really caught my attention. So the first of all is it lived up to its name. The name of the movie is called Deliverance. And when you actually look it up in the dictionary, the meaning of that is basically the action of being rescued or set free. And when I think of that, I always think of firemen. And when you think about it, seriously, firemen have a special skill set. And they're the only ones that are actually able to go into the building and literally rescue the people that are not able to get out of the burning building itself. You don't see policemen going in there, doctors, nurses, the garbage man, none of that, because they have the skill set, they have the skill to be able to do that. Okay. And so basically in this movie, you see like two sides, and at the end, one wins. Now, they said that this was inspired and it was based upon some true events. Okay. One thing I will say, we've seen Lee Daniels in a lot of movies, but as a director, this guy was awesome. He was dead on. And then he went out and got some superstar cast on here. And I was very proud of each and every one of them. Okay. But this also exposes a truth that not everyone is really aware of, because there's two worlds. There's a supernatural on one side, and it showed a natural realm. Okay. One is seen and one is not seen. But it doesn't necessarily mean that one doesn't exist. You saw two sides. There was a good side, and then there was an evil side. If you notice real closely on the good side of the supernatural, there's God, you got Jesus, you got the Holy Spirit, you got angels and the saints. And then on the other side, you can literally see Satan, demons, and fallen angels. And in this movie, you saw people being influenced, you saw people being oppressed, and then there was what they call a higher level of possession. And that's exactly what happened to the boy. That's exactly what happened, I hate to say it, to a lot of people in this movie. Not only his brother, but the sister. It eventually end up happening to the grandma as well, being taken over. And then, like I said, it was a very high level of possession. And Deliverance is one of those things where it's like there's more to it than what meets the eye. And not everyone, like I said about the firemen, is qualified to be able to rescue somebody and to deliver them from that. So the second part that I saw in this movie was called spiritual warfare. And in spiritual warfare, there's literally a fight. On one side, you saw people that had fear, and then on the other side, you saw people with faith. And what
Frederick, real quick, back up just from your mic a little bit. Okay, Frederick got big hands. You're cooking.
Okay, you hear me?
Yeah, you good.
Yeah. All right. So on one side, you got fear, and then the other side, you got faith. And what got me so bad is this is where I was talking about the scenes. If you noticed in there, you saw the grandma, you saw the apostle, I believe her name was Bernice James, I believe it was Bernice James. Yeah, and then you had the mom, right? And the thing is, in this, if you realize all three of them had a level of faith, but all three of them in this fight was getting the beat down. But it was only the mom that literally died to herself and literally let the Lord, her Lord, who she asked to be her Lord and Savior, have his way and take over. And you saw that through the bright lights. You saw that through the speaking of the tongues. You saw that in the waving of the hands, which all of a sudden at the end of the movie, you saw what I would call love conquers all. Because at the end of the day, that mom literally and her love for her children superseded her fear. And the thing about it is the grandma, she had fear and she ended up dying for it. The apostle, she ended up having fear and she apologized at the end and she ended up dying. And it was only the mom, because of her love that superseded her fear. That's what really helped her, through the help of God, to be able to all of a sudden win this fight. And what got me so bad was there's a verse in the Bible that literally you have seen all around the world. And it's called John 3:16. And it says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And she received the Lord, and all of a sudden the apostle told her, hey, this is the path. This is the way you must go if you want to be able to get your family back. And she did that. And there's another verse that says, choose ye this day who you will serve. But as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. And I saw at the very end of the movie where she's driving off and you can see the city in the background. She has all her kids. She chose, I am not leaving unless I have all my kids with me. And you saw how it said in real life, she had to it took 6 months, I believe. You guys can help me on that or something. Yeah, but she was able to get her kids back. And so with all that being said, I thought this was a great movie because one thing, there was so much meaning behind it. And the thing about it is you can see two sides. I mean, we talk about Avengers and all that stuff, but in this right here, this is real life for a lot of people. And if you have a faith, any kind of faith, you can literally see in this movie the natural side as well as the supernatural side, and all of a sudden watch it play out through the whole movie. Now, the only thing I would have changed, honestly, and this is my favorite part, you guys know I'm about to say, miniseries. This is what this
Freddy's miniseries.
Hey, this is one of those where a lot of people would miss it, and you can literally break it down. You can literally understand what happened to the family. You see what I'm saying? Before them, you saw clips of it, but for a lot of people, I'm pretty sure they didn't quite understand. And how is it that all of a sudden that portal became to be? How did that portal was still there and they happened to be at the right place at the right time for it all of a sudden to them to fall into that? And so that would have been really cool if they would have literally broke that down and then show even the aftermath, like in a mini series that you can do of what really happened. How did you get back on your feet? What place did you go? Did you all of a sudden, what is the effects? Did you guys start going to church? Did you guys start having a testimony? Did you guys be able to help other people as well that may have all of a sudden ran into a portal, or those people that was possessed? And so there's so many different things that could have took place if they would have went down that road. But I understand for time's sake, they try to just cram it all into one. And so for some people, they're going to get it. And for other people, they won't. But I just felt like myself, there was so much, as they would say, old school meat on the bone, that you just found yourself chewing and chewing. I totally agree with Manic in the sense of the actors and actresses were superb. Like I said, the grandma changing her life and realizing she's coming to the end and she had cancer, that was so powerful to me, you know? And the simple fact of it is that she knew she made some mistakes. She knew that she didn't live the best life. She knew she wasn't the perfect mom, but she wanted to be able to all of a sudden be an example for her daughter, who, once again, was going down some of the same mistakes and some of the same wrong roads that she took. And so, like I said, it just got me so bad because, like I said, it brought me to that fireman mentality where all of a sudden, truly, there are only certain people that are qualified to be able to help other people in their time of need. And so it can't just be anybody, because there's many people that have died in the fire. We've seen so many people all of a sudden be in the hospital and get smoke, ventilation, and all this other stuff, and literally the fumes take them out. And so, or they go in there and the house just collapsed because they didn't have the ladder, or they didn't have the water hose, or they didn't have the equipment to wear, the full armor of God type of thing. And so it was just like there were so many elements to this movie. And like I said, the only thing I wish they would have done is just broke it down just a little bit, because we all have different levels of maturity, different levels of age, different levels of faith. And so not everybody can eat steak. Not everybody can eat hot dogs. Not everybody can eat chicken nuggets. Some people are still what they call on the milk. And so with that being said, if you break it down a little bit, everyone can eat. And so this was just like a big feast for everyone. Like I said, I know this blows everybody's mind, but I enjoyed it. I literally enjoyed it because there was a purpose and there was a meaning behind it. And, it didn't take much to go deep. And I love deep sea fishing. And I love my little fish with some hot sauce on it and all that stuff, and sitting down and just enjoying a good meal. That's where I'm at on this. And you really got that in this movie. So kudos to, like I said, Lee Daniels and the cast. And I'm just proud of them that they actually pulled this off.
But shout out to Omar Epps in this movie for like trying to bag grannies. Yeah.
He made a little cameo with the do-rag on.
Yeah, my man had like 5-minute part. I was like, man, how they gonna do my man Omar Epps like this, man? So yeah. So real quick, any pushback on anybody's position? Any disagreements with ratings? Or anything else like dialogue wise?
Yeah, I just want to say something because I think we touched on a lot, but one of the things, and it came to my mind when Fred was talking, like it shows the different levels of belief and spirituality, and like I would even go as far as to say like different denominations, because the grandmother, she was going to church, and the lady was preaching up there and she was this and that. And it's just like, oh man, this is such a great church. This has saved me. And when she went to her to tell her, hey, something's going on with my kid, she's like, honey, this is not that type of church. So she had she went to the other lady who was like, I'm an apostle from Paul, like their belief systems are completely different. So it's just like, there's different levels of spirituality. So if she would have went to her, she would have came right away immediately and they would have addressed it. But because, she just went to, her typical church, who she does a good job, like no slight to her, but she didn't even want to like discuss it because she's like, oh, I just deal in the earthly realm. So it's just like, that was like a good little element to show that like, hey, not everybody, even somebody that you see on the pulpit and you think so high and mighty of them, they may not be able to help you. You may need to go, because, we're all humans, we're a flesh. So we all have our flaws. But there's levels to this shit, essentially.
Well, I don't think and from what I know anyways, when you're like talking about different things like deliverances versus exorcisms and stuff like that, mm-hmm. I could be wrong, but I don't believe that all church, like as a kid, I grew up in the Catholic Church. So like, they would obviously believe in like exorcism and stuff, but I don't believe mm-hmm. all churches like consider themselves able to do that. I think it's like different denominations believe different things when it comes to, like casting out demons and stuff like that.
But I like the point kind of what Manic is elaborating on, because a lot of times just because somebody has a title also don't mean that they are actually strong in their faith, you know. And that's why you do got to be strong for yourself, and you can't be dependent on somebody else for certain things.
Facts.
you know, when that time gets thick, like you seen in this movie, it's like, hey man, I doubted myself. Shoot, you got to read this, you know. So that was a good play out where it's just like, hey man, that's why you have to have your stuff together. So I like how they kind of show that even in the movie, like, hey, so, and Manic brought that point up, like, yeah, people can have titles, and sometimes they're. I know Fred pretty much could break it down, like even when you kind of look at the Bible and stuff, it's just like sometimes the people that are going to be the worst are going to come in guise of like a person with a like a leadership position, maybe in a church or something like that. So yeah, you just got to be careful, and that's why you got to be strong within yourself and even know it yourself, so that way you could spot when somebody is fraudulent and trying to, like I said, twist the word and stuff. So yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I love that element that they added to it, because it's just like she had the bigger church, she had the bigger everything. Everything was more like
it was like one of them TV churches.
Yeah, it was almost like a mega church. And then then the actual lady who believes and who was able to help her and save her ultimately, you know, influence her enough to, you know, have strong enough faith to like face her demons herself. She had like a small little church, and you know, it was filled with a whole bunch of random looking people. I mean, but it's just like, that's, you know, I mean, you look at the, you know, and I don't want to misquote the Bible or anything like that, but you have to seek refuge amongst people who are have the same belief system. And it doesn't say anything about going to the biggest and the most loud. You know, actually, when you look at prayer and, you know, dive into Matthew, saying the Lord's Prayer, you're supposed to do it in secret, and God will reward you openly. So I feel like a smaller congregation of people who are really searching to build their spirit and connection with God is much more powerful than a big church where everybody's just congregating to say, hey, we're all here. Like, we go here every Sunday, like, pat on our backs. Like, we're going to talk about the Lord, praise. We're going to shout, catch the Holy Ghost, and walk out and do the same unproductive, you know, disrespectful stuff that we normally do. But every Sunday we come back and dress nice. Like, no, like, come as you are, you know, come for the Spirit, and, you know, take that and try to implement that in your life. You can't just know the word. You have to also, when you know it, implement it in your life. So
I say it's a book of action. But go ahead, Fred. You was about to say something.
Oh, I was just going to piggyback on what Manic was saying, which goes back to my fireman analogy. Was the simple fact of it is, you know, Grandma went to her church, and, you know, that was a policeman, but that policeman did not have the equipment or was spiritually prepared to be able to deliver her family. And then the thing about it, Grandma got the beat down, because if you notice, Grandma was going to act like she was going to physically take care of the situation. And the Bible says it's not by might, it's not by power, but by thy spirit, says the Lord. So at the end of the day, the apostle, her problem was she said, I'm going to get behind me, you know, I'm going to take care of this. And the reality is you can't be co-pilot. You have to let the Lord handle and take care of it. That's why the Bible also says, cast all your cares upon him, for he cares for you. You don't leave it there and then go pick it back up. That's not how it works. And so at the end of the day, she ended up getting the beat down and end up losing her life as well. And she all of a sudden, because she was going on her own stream, she had to apologize, because in her own stream, that's where her fear was. Because at the end of the day, she wasn't able to save the boy before from the first family. And so that's where her fear came in. So then now you have the mom. Well, I said God is love. So she used the love that she had for God and the love that she had for her family and said, Lord, with my hands raised, I'm giving it all. I'm dying to myself and presenting it all to you, my family, everything. And if you notice, she started having all these flashes and all this stuff, and the bright lights started coming, because at the end of the day, It was like God was saying, now I can take over. Now I can have 100%. Now I can do my thing and take care of business because I know how to get rid of Satan. I know how to take care of these fallen angels. I know how to get rid of these demons out of your family's life. And that's exactly what happened. And what gets me so bad is when you get rid of one, and it talks about this because there's a story even about the sons of Sceva, where all of a sudden people say, well, Paul, I know, who are you type of thing. Jesus, I know, but who are you? So it's just like there's different levels of when I hear about deliverance and possession. So at the end of the day, you have to be fully equipped to be able to take on spiritual warfare. And she was ready to die. And that was another thing too. She was ready to give her all. And when she died to herself and said, Lord, here I am, and the hands were raised up, like I said, that's when God knew, boom, I can take over from there. And that's exactly what he did. And like I said, once she rescued the little boy, you guys noticed that the other two were delivered as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was phenomenal too. And a lot of people don't bring that up. But at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And her love, that's why I was telling you guys, the love conquers all because God is love. And so, like I said, that's why I said that John 3:16 is so powerful because God so loved the world that he put action behind it. He gave.
Frederick, have you ever heard of Stone Cold 3:16? Not
Austin
joking. Bad joke.
That's WWF, baby. That's WWF.
But to be fair, that demon whooped everybody's ass.
Yeah, it did.
So, yeah, everybody got that work. So, but let me get Wally in here. Wally, what's your rated? Shout out to Wally. Oh, so just to give you a recap, Wally, I gave it an 8. Manic gave it a 10. Frederick gave it a 7. And he hates horror movies and amazing. What was yours? A 6 again? Or?
Outlier.
You said 6?
Did Wally freeze?
5.5.
Oh, 5.5. Okay. So Wally, what's your rating?
Oh, wait, maybe I did say 6. I think you're right. I think my original thought was 5.5, but I let 6 come out my mouth.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. There you go.
And you say you gave it a 10?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's Manic.
Spiritual warfare.
Look, Manic, I'm gonna I got some movies for you to watch, and you'll see why this is not a 10.
As a horror and thriller, you gave this a 10?
No, Wally, you missed what I said. What I said is I didn't watch any previews. I didn't read anything about this. So I thought I was watching your typical struggle Black woman with a whole bunch of kids and fighting against the system. And eventually I'm gonna get my kids back, so I'm gonna get my act together. That's what I thought I was watching because that's how the movie started off.
Yeah.
And then when it progressed until the end, I was just like, oh, there's so many elements in this movie. This is a classic for me because I'm not going to put it up there with the Book of Eli, but it's when a movie can have such an impact and it's so relatable. And then the ultimate message being, as powerful as it was, that like, it doesn't matter what the devil's doing. God, is greater than that. And to see that battle between God and the devil and God prevail, even when you took over her body and allowed her to do the one to rebuke the demon and everything. So it's just like, that was just too powerful of a message for me to give it anything less. This is a classic for me.
Look at Wally's face.
You know what? No, they ain't no way. They ain't no damn way.
Tell him, Wally.
That's fine.
There ain't no goddamn way. Look, I will sit here and say this. I can agree to you and to Fred as far as the nice messengery in the movie. That's spot on. But for the lackluster of what this movie is and what it's entitled to be, no. This is what it was. When you go find this, and you go look it up, and you look at what the rating was given. That's exactly what this is.
What was the rating given?
It was rated around 5.1.
Oh, okay, 5.1. Okay, I can see that.
They tripping.
Yeah.
On that.
See,
but what's your rating, Wally? Hold on. We'll get to the pushback section, but Wally, what's your rating?
Yeah.
Honestly, I couldn't give this any much more than, in fair play, at least a decency of a 6.
Okay, so between good and average. Okay, a 6.
You right there with amazing.
Yeah, you're right in her territory. So why did you give it that rating, Wally? A 6.
Why? Okay, well, here's one thing. You're trying to tell me I inherited a house that was prematurely haunted when people died in, and no one didn't bother to tell me ahead of time? Oh, bull. You would have known there would be some history. People would have told you something. There ain't no way. I inherited a house that people died in, and it's haunted. Literally.
But sometimes people broke, man. You gotta take what you can, you know what I'm saying? So that house probably had like a lower value. She was struggling. So that might have been why, you know.
I mean,
just didn't even care.
Pick and choose, but I don't give a crap. So what it is.
Yeah, no.
At the moment I know someone died in it and it's haunted, bye. They ain't no way.
I wouldn't stay there at that point.
I ain't having no one's life in my house. Not a chance. No.
But I don't think the mom was like really worried about like doing searches on anything, because like we would have probably looked up the house and articles would have popped up, but she was about to get piped down at a hood party. So keep that in consideration. This ain't the type of chick that's gonna do research.
While the kids were upstairs.
With you on that part. No, I'm not going with you. I mean, now the only thing that I will sit here and say, the reason why I'm able to bump it up from its original rating is because when I found out towards the end, this was actually a true story. So for me, and finding out at the end that this is historically a true story, like, okay, this should have been a historical horror in some thriller movie, because that's what this literally is. That's what it literally should have been entitled as, which I would have probably changed my tone a little bit more, because now it would have gave me a little bit of a different insight to what I'm really watching here. Because I ain't gonna lie, just starting the movie and then everything else, I'm like, am I watching a horror film or am I watching the typical black woman? I don't got time for this. What is this? What are you slating me to? Like that, it was so slow. Like, I'm like, what is this? Yeah, and eventually it got there and everything else, and I was like, okay. So when like the demons came, and I'm like, all right, okay, demons possessed. You talking to some evil spirit that's encaving in the house. He's in the basement that constantly keeps horroring and everything else. He pretty much beat up the bird that walked in the window towards the beginning. All that extra stuff and all that and everything else to it. In the midst of it all, I'm just like, again, like it's like I said, if it was more so of a historical and it played like in that type of historical film, I could have probably gave this more. But because it didn't, I just have to look at it as a 6. And plus, just within my mind, knowing that this was supposed to be a horror. Look, if this doesn't give me Exodus vibes, it ain't it for me. and I mean that, because literally, if this was literally Exodus vibes, I would know it would have been good. Because why? Because I would have walked away from the movie entirely. I would not even be here today. I would not be here. I would not even finish, because I'm like, okay, y'all have that. That's how good that would have been. But as far as the plot, which is basically the overall premise, it was good. Like I said, it was good when you find out what it's really backed up behind. Storyline, again, it should have been different in my opinion. The actress or the scenes or actresses, I forgot the mother. I remember her, so she was solid. The woman that was constantly following her, but that just out of nowhere, just to only tell her the truth, because she was keeping an eye on that boy, because I guess she just knew like he was possessed. She was another one that was pretty interesting, because I was always wondering why she always stalking this family, because that was a very interesting point. So just to add on to all that and everything else mixed together, and plus, yeah, because literally, the woman herself even said it herself. She had the pictures of the family. She had background history of the family. So just the fact that she even knew it, I'm like, you're trying to tell me no one else could have told you this house was possessed? This house, like, I'm just being serious. Like, you can't make this up. So for me, how would I change this movie? Again, I would at least want this to be like more of a narration, like someone narrating the story, like giving the background history of this whole premise while they're also living that idea premise. And then, of course, it just popped out. Because at least with that, it would have just been more realistic for me in my head to then be like, okay, this is actually better than what it is. So, yeah.
Can I add? Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, the only thing I was going to say specifically to that is, again, just because like these are my movies, is if you watch these movies, you'll notice, and I believe this to be true as well, that in like demons and possessions and things like that, it always has something to do. It's not just the house, it's the specific people that move into the house, and it's always normally related to like if you look up like true stories of people who say, hey, this has happened to me or my family or what have you, it normally is always linked to the first commandment and sin. So like people not necessarily like being believers or having no belief, or it's normally something. So I don't think it's just the house, but it's also the people that inhabit the house that are open to the demons, I guess.
I think it's like sometimes people that is like excessive in something, typically maybe like drugs, like either her drinking problem and like super oddish.
I would agree because yeah.
But I think it's just like that lack of faith as well. And then I was going to say, though, I thought this was also interesting because I don't know if anybody has seen like the original Poltergeist movies. I think probably the first one probably came out in the 80s or
yeah, it was like the 80s. It scared the hell out of me. I remember watching it. I was like, oh.
But there's several sequels to that movie. And actually there's they called it the Poltergeist Curse. And even the original child actor died during, I think, the first filming. And a lot of people, they said like all sorts of stuff happened on set. So I thought it was interesting when I was reading about this story specifically. Who is the director in this movie?
Lee Daniels.
Yeah. He said that he didn't even want to know if he was going to do this story or not because they were so concerned about would that open something for him and his family going back to the different things that happened in some of like the Poltergeist movies and just filming stuff like that. But the other,
you make me nervous. We need to wrap this up. Shit.
Yeah.
So this is the beginning. This would have been like 2 minutes. Like, hey, yeah, great movie. Check it out.
But
8 for me. 666. Let's go. Bye.
super interesting stories. And again, this is why I think the movie had a great message. So I don't want that to come across. I thought it was, again, to me, it was over the top in like some of the outward messaging from movies I've seen in the past. So like if you look up like the Conjuring series, tons of their movies, if not all of them, are based on real life events that you can look up with Ed and Lorraine Warren. And anyways, it's very, very interesting. So again, I think it's a good message, but if you take into account those other movies that also same message but kind of go, I think, deeper even, you would see a big difference if you look at some of those movies, I think.
Okay. All right, the last segment. Would you change your score or keep it the same? And I'll start with Casey Fred on this.
I'm going to leave it right there at a 7.
All right, Manic Genius. Well, shit, you ain't got nowhere to go but down with your 10 classic rating that Wally had smoke for.
Yeah, no, it's gonna stay at a 10 for me. This is definitely going in my all-time top movies.
Amazing. Staying the same at your 6. Okay, Wally, you staying at your 6 rating?
Yeah.
Right, I'm gonna stay with the 8.
The message was the only thing that bumped it up to a 6.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay at my 8 rating. So all right, man, we'll go around parting words real quick.
What do we get, Casey Fred? You going up or?
Oh, my bad. Did I?
You gave it an 8.
Yeah, I gave it an 8. Casey, Fred, my bad. You gonna stay at yours or?
Yeah, I was gonna stay right there at a 7.
You already asked him already.
All right.
No, he asked you that already.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man.
I didn't hear him.
But all right, parting words, and we'll go ahead and close this out. So, Casey, Fred, parting words.
Like I said, I actually enjoyed the movie Deliverance. I think, like I said, there's 2 realms. There's a supernatural, and then there's a natural realm. And I really feel like people need to realize that there's more than what meets the eye. And this movie actually touched on that. And so I would really challenge everyone to like watch the movie. Don't watch other stuff before this movie or try to look at the ratings, Wally, or any of that. I would just watch it and just eat it face value.
That builds my expectations. Sometimes my expectations.
I saw this movie at face value, and at the end of the day, it was definitely worth watching because one thing, what would you do for love? And the thing about it is, would you go the extra mile like this mother did? Whether it was for your mom, your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your child, how far would you go to be able to make sure someone that's hurt, that is in need, is able to get that rescued and be set free? And that's what this movie was all about. And it lived up to its name. And like I said, I'm very proud of Lee Daniels and this cast. I thought they did an excellent job.
All right. Wally, parting words.
Well, one thing that Mason said that I would agree with, because as far as saying like the demons were quote unquote feeding off of the energy of the family, because if you remember, the little boy did said, "You're the one that killed your mother, not me," which was funny because her animosity and her energy towards her mother, one way or another. So, my only last piece, because the one thing I didn't get to comment on, would I give this a watch for anybody that wants to watch it? I think you would watch it. You would want to watch it. It's not as bad. Like I said, it's not as bad. I was able to watch it, so I'm not saying it was horrible, but it just wasn't as great as some people would say it is. But I can't.
About Manic.
I can't give this any more credit. No, I'm talking about 2 people. If this any further, then at best I can go to 7, but I couldn't even go back.
Come on up, Wally. Come on up, baby.
I did went up. I came up to a 6. I cannot go that far, because another thing too that was just horrible for me, that part, is when the boy snapped out of the whole restraints, and it's like, okay, you snapped out the restraints, you climb off the wall, but you let the woman walk away. You didn't murder her. What was the point of that? Pointless.
Letting her know how powerful he is.
And still,
it was just a flex.
Other people. You need more people. Hit her with the Jay-Z quote.
Like, now, do you believe in me?
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
Hey, pick and choose. But nonetheless, like I said, if you want it, do I consider watching it? Yeah. Would I watch it again? Just for the reruns of it all. But other than that, no, I would not watch it again for myself. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Amazing. Parting words.
My parting words are to always Google the history on your house, number 1. And number 2, if you decide to move in that house, you better make sure you're right with your spirituality, because that's what opens you all up. So if you want to take 2 risks, just telling you, check it out. Watch your movies, get some history on it. That's all I got. Google your land, because they're out there everywhere. Everybody's open to it. If you believe in God, I hope you believe in the demons.
All right, Manic Genius, parting words.
I'll just piggyback off the spirituality part. Thought it was a great movie overall, because this movie really showcased that even if you weren't a person, raised in the church, and didn't have all the information, if you give your life to the Lord anything is possible. And this movie really just showcased that, because the lady who was the apostle from Paul, prophet, you know, she came there to do a job, but her little bit of doubt and fear overrode that, and she ultimately died. But the mother, who didn't even have faith in the beginning, seen the demon and believed, like, oh, this is really a demon. I need God for this. Like, and she so, you know, she gave her full self to it. And even when she went to go battle it, she lost. And when she lost, God came and said, hey, you gave yourself to me. I'm going to go in you and give you my spirit. And I created your speaking. I created your mouth, you know, kind of like with Moses in Exodus. It's like, it doesn't matter if you're slow at speech. I got you as long as you believe. And she believed wholly with her heart and the love, as Casey Fred said, and she overcame that and saved her family. So you ain't got to be perfect. You can, but you repent, give yourself to the Lord, and ultimately you can be delivered. Great movie.
All right. So my parting words is, if your mom's a 304, there's a good chance you could be possessed by a demon. I think that was the overarching message of But nah, get yourself together, get your weather together, because it subjects you to other things. So it might not be like a possession, but it opens you up, your kids up to nonsense. And it pained me today that my little brother Wally over here was throwing some shots, but the jerk is a connoisseur of movies.
Well, funny enough,
his ratings are always on point.
Your point.
They're excellent.
What was your
I am a source of information, a beacon of hope with these movie ratings. So tap into me. Don't go see other people's ratings.
Right. Let's remember.
You come check in with the jerk.
We watched The Old Man, right?
What's that?
What did he rate that movie again? Remember when we watched Otto? What did he rate that movie? Right. What you saying? What you saying? Okay.
He's saying he's sucked at ratings. That's what he's saying.
My ratings are on point. I ain't give Otto. Y'all gave that like a high one. That was
exactly, and that's my point. You what we talking about? You're the connoisseur. Yeah.
Connoisseur.
Hey, first of all, I just want to say, Wally, first of all, thank you for making it finally to the show. I really thought you wasn't going to make it
Fred.
Because the Chiefs did go ahead and tap that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
let me tell you, I don't know why.
Casey Fred, who did they bend over and take advantage of?
I believe it was the Baltimore Ravens that was.
Aren't they supposed to have a great defense?
Mama, you know what I'm saying? Because the 3-peat champions all of a sudden came through, baby. You know what I'm saying? So, what's your team? Don't you got a team down there?
Miami Dolphins.
Is it Jacksonville? Who lost? I can't even remember anymore. It's all your teams down there.
Solero, my team didn't lose week 1. Solero.
Who was it?
The Dolphins.
We better get off because they're supposed to play tonight. They got to play against the Bills.
Hey.
He said, "Hey."
Yeah. He's like, but all right, we'll close this out. Nah, check it out. Check our ratings. Let us know who you agree with, who you disagree with. You're more than likely going to agree with me, but hey, got y'all. But peace.